Yeah, I'm Muslim. I was brought up in a Christian household. I converted when I was 18. I had a youth pastor who I'd speak to and I'd try and ask questions when I used to go to church and he couldn't answer those questions. Islam managed to answer that for me and give me a structure at the time that I needed. I'm not a perfect Muslim by any means. No, I still stand firm on Islam being the answer for me.
I just had a very brief conversation with a Muslim revert. That means someone who used to be something else. In this case, this young man was a Christian. Then at the age of 18, he was convicted by the Islamic arguments and left Christianity and became a Muslim. So a very brief conversation. I think he was not really interested in going to the depth of what really convinced him for Islam, but it still was happy to speak to me, and so I was quite curious about why is it that I did what I did. And so I just explained to him that I do this out of conviction and love for him. I was opening myself up if he did want to have a more of an in-depth conversation, which he didn't, which was fine. So maybe next time. But I did left with him, just the message that he should continue to ask the hard questions. Maybe the people that he spoke to in the past had something of conviction or lack thereof in terms of Christianity, but doesn't mean that those answers don't exist, the ones that he was looking to find. So hopefully that is the case for him, that he does not stop his search and that he comes back to the truth that I believe is in Christ, in Christianity. So anyway, have a look, let me know what you thought, and God bless you, and see you in the next video. Bye. Do you have any faith, any belief, any religion?
Yeah, I'm Muslim.
You're a Muslim?
I'm
Okay.
Muslim, yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
always been a Muslim, born in a Muslim family, grew
No,
up Muslim, or
I converted when I was 18.
when you were 18 you
When I was
converted,
18,
so,
yeah.
or revert, as
Revert,
they
that's
say,
it, that's it, yeah.
And you were what before?
I was brought up in a Christian household.
Christian household, and then okay.
And then I converted.
Do you mind just what convinced you? What was your journey like?
So I had, as a Christian, like my mom is a very strong Christian woman, and I respect her and her faith and everything. But as a Christian, I had a lot of answers that I couldn't be answered in the church.
Okay.
And I found answers in Islam, and it kind of helped me when I was growing up, when I was in my probably the moment where you become an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I started having questions about life, and Islam managed to answer that for me and give me a structure at the time that I needed. But yeah, I strive to be a better Muslim. I'm not a perfect Muslim by any means, but I strive to that.
Strive for that,
and that's what gave me peace at the time.
Give you peace at the time, yeah. And over since that time, since that moment, did you continue to sort of make sure that the reasons for your conversion and the questions for why you left sort of Christianity, did you continue to sort of explore those questions? Did you just, because
I always had a Bible and a Quran. So like if I have something that I might not have answers to, I'd look in both just for reference.
Right.
Not to say I disregard the Bible and the Christianity and everything I learned a lot from that. And then, I put into practice into Islam. And at the time, when I was doing the most to try and be a better Muslim, it gave me peace.
Got it.
I strive to be on that level. But at the moment, I'm not practicing as much as I should. Yeah.
Granted. I think we all go through periods of our faith sort of increasing and kind of being greater or lesser. But quite curious to see as you're going through that questioning sort of phase. Did you speak to someone like you would consider like a spiritual mentor, like a pastor, or apart from your family, right? Just to validate some of the questions that you were asking about, whether they had an answer or.
So I had the imam in the mosque that I'd ask questions to, and he always had an answer and a reference to the Quran. And I was also had a youth pastor who I'd speak to, and I'd try and ask questions when I used to go to church, and he couldn't answer those questions.
Okay.
And he couldn't reference the Bible with evidence
Okay.
at some of the points he was making, and yeah, that's I got that from Islam at the time.
Okay.
Because I'm not the same person I was when I was 18.
Right.
I'm probably double that now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But at the time, that's the feelings I went through.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, in terms of being kind of more faithful as far as your Islam faith goes, what does that kind of would look like for you? Would it be just more practicing of the like 5 prayers per
Yeah.
day and
Following
going
the
to
5
mosque
pillars.
and 5 pillars and
So
all
the
that
5
stuff? Yeah.
pillars, making sure you're doing everything that you should be doing
Right.
as a Muslim. But yeah, that's it's not easy. It's not easy. It's you really have to be dedicated,
Yeah.
and it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what every Muslim who's trying to be a good Muslim would strive to. I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens if you don't?
Yeah.
Right? If you just
If you
continuously.
don't, I
Yeah.
mean, like, it depends what sins you commit. I mean, yeah, you're judged on the sins that you commit, basically.
And what does that kind of lead to, right? Because
if you're like a sinful person,
Yeah.
and you pray, and you're not a sinful person and you don't pray, God would have to judge you on Judgment Day and see whether you go to heaven or hell. So we're all judged the same. Yeah.
Right, and I guess the reason I'm asking is that you might know this from a Christian perspective, but also coming from a Christian perspective, we say, okay, well,
But you seem to know a lot about Islam.
I do, because I've had multiple conversations with Muslims, and
I'm not a born Muslim, so I couldn't probably argue the point as
Right.
much as someone who was raised in the religion
Fair.
and like went to like madrasas, like
Yeah,
children's schools and stuff like that. I'm not.
You're not like a sheikh,
very
you're not like
I'm not a
very-
sheikh.
yeah,
I'm not very knowledgeable on like many subjects, but I'll say what I know.
Which is fair. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to kind of trick you or anything, but like I think I'm trying to get to the core, right? So as a Christian, right, I'm starting from the position of we are sinners, right?
Okay.
We're all sinners, and I think this is where Islam would agree with Christianity, right? But I think where the major difference becomes is that I think in Islam you always ultimately going to throw yourself at Allah's mercy, right? You, as you just sort of said, you will just not know what your ultimate destiny is going to become, because it will be maybe you've done enough good to cancel out the bad, or maybe not.
It's up to God.
It's all be up to God, right?
That's the thing,
And this is the kind of thing you kind of have. You're left with that a little bit of that uncertainty, right?
That's it. And no one's perfect.
And no one's perfect, absolutely. But do you know the Christian answer to that question, or from your memory, like how would we answer that kind of?
Like God died for us on the cross.
Yeah, Jesus died for us on the cross, right? And so our destiny doesn't depend on us necessarily; it depends on the one who has died for us on the cross. Who has paid
I
for
totally
us.
understand that. Yeah, and I respect that. But like, I think everyone's got their own path, and I find my path in Islam. It might not be a path for everyone.
Yeah.
But at the time, for me, it felt like the right thing to do. I needed it at the time, and it helped me become a better person.
Well, I'm not denying that at all, right?
Yeah.
And I think I'm not saying there are not good people even in other religions, right?
Yeah.
It's I think religion of itself, I think, is generally a good force. Tends to be a good for society,
if
right?
It makes you a better person. 100%.
Well, it gives structure, it gives moral framework,
Yeah.
right? That's what is right and what is wrong, and certainly that is oftentimes better than not having anything, right?
That's true.
But then we should be asking ourselves continuously, look, there are religions that say different things, and how do we know which one is correct, which one is true, right?
Yeah.
And I would just say, and I appreciate you've made your choice from going from Christianity to Islam. My only sort of thing would be, kind of maybe continue to ask that question, right? I think we grow, we learn as we grow and we get old, and I have some pretty strong convictions why I think Christianity is much more true than Islam is. But I appreciate, everyone has to come to that conclusion on their own selves.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, 100%. But I don't think you could say that. Same way I couldn't say to a Hindu person, Islam is so much better than your religion without any proof. It's objective to you, but it's not to me. It's not my truth.
Yeah.
I don't think that what you think. Like, I know about Christianity, and I fully understood it, and it didn't answer the questions I had at the time. But yeah, I just wouldn't disrespect another religion and say something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not wasn't speaking about disrespect, but I think, certainly in the West we live in a sort of a free kind of society in terms of marketplace of ideas, right? And that is, just like in politics, right? Let's say, I don't know what your sort of, your tendency to vote, right? But I would say, let's say you're conservative, I'm Labour, and I would say, look, I just disagree with certain policies, and you would say, well, I disagree with your policy. It doesn't mean we're going to go to war. We're just going to disagree, right? We're going to have maybe a constructive exchange of ideas, views, and then we're going to think about it, and we're going to say, okay, maybe what he said was actually not a bad point. Maybe I need to think about it, right? I mean, that's the kind of conversations that I have with people as well, even with Hindus, right? I mean, the thing is, you mentioned Hindus, right? They are very quick to agree with everyone. Like, I would speak to them like this, right? I would say to them, "Hey, have you heard about?"
I've got no problem with Hindus.
Well, I have no personal problem.
I was just giving an example of another religion.
I'm just giving an example as well, right? Because it's just because you mentioned it came to my mind, but like they're very very agreeable just in generally, right? But I would almost force them to sort of say, well, let's find something that we disagree on, not because of having a fight, but because of having we will learn from one another, right? Because if we just continuously agree with one another, but our beliefs at the core are different, then we're just sort of being agreeable for agreeing's sake, right?
Because there's no right answer.
But I would disagree with that part, right? So here we go. So I would say there must be, maybe there's no right answer, but there's not everyone can be right at the same time. Right, because we're making different claims. So, for example, right, in Islam, as you said, you didn't agree with certain answers that Christianity would provide, and so you said, look, I don't agree with this part of Christianity, hence I will move to Islam because I don't see truth here, I see it more there, right? Same thing, we can have a conversation with a Hindu, with a Buddhist, with an atheist, with an agnostic, and say, look, I will respect you as a person, but I think what you're saying is not true, and I think that I'm saying something that I think I have more evidence for, and you can take it or leave it. That's great. That's a robust, that's a healthy exchange. I think in general, I think we grow. The reason we go to school, right, is to learn something we have not known before. It doesn't mean we have to all agree with everything someone's teaching us, but we'll consider it, we'll mull over it, and then we will hopefully.
But what's like the objective of like the interview? Do you like aim to convert people to Christianity, or?
Well, I don't think I can. First of all, convert people to Christianity. It's not.
Why
I think.
not?
Well, I think it happens spiritually. I think that kind of conversion happens through the Holy Spirit, right? I don't think an intellectual conversion.
But have you never spoken to someone and they were like, "Oh, I've never. I want to give my life to Christ and whatever." Blah,
Never
blah.
in that way. I've spoken to people who have said, "You made me think." Right, and then later they will say, I have a couple more questions, do you mind if we meet again? And then the conversation would continue. And there were one or two people that actually did come to faith as a result. But I don't think I've ever sat down with a person and light bulbs went off and there's, you've opened my eyes and ears and now I'm a Christian. No, I don't think, well, if
it happens. It
If
happens in
it
Islam
happened
a
to
lot.
Paul. Well, it happens to Paul, right? He on the road to Damascus, right? He was struck with a light, and Jesus appeared to him, and he had this conversion experience. And sometimes it does happen. Just that it didn't happen to me, right? And I'm not necessarily expecting it. I think it's something that has to happen supernaturally. So I think something that God does on people's heart. All I'm doing here, I might sow a couple of seeds.
Okay.
Something that you may have heard or may not have heard before that made you think. And again, I just leave that with a person, and that's their relationship with God, right? I'm not here to force. I'm not going to either gain anything or not gain anything. I don't have a church to sign up, people to. I don't have a
Would say is this for like your entertainment?
not necessarily
like-
for entertainment. I feel like,
Yeah.
well, you probably recognize this from Christianity, right? We are compelled as Christians to make disciples of all nations, right? That's the Great Commission. You would have remembered. That's Matthew 20:28, I believe, right?
What denomination of Christian are you?
Just Christian. Just
You're just
Christian.
Christian.
I don't have
Okay.
particular denomination. I was born in a Catholic environment, a Catholic country, but I wouldn't call myself a Catholic, nor would I call myself an Anglican nor an Eastern Orthodox. I'm just a Christian, right?
What country is that?
I'm from Croatia originally.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
But like I said, I would just call myself a Christian, and I would
Yeah.
say, that our, it's up to God to call us, to
Yeah.
draw us close. All I can do is I can maybe answer your question, maybe tell you something about God that you may have not appreciated, because the biblical verse is the faith comes through hearing, and the hearing of the Word of God. So if I present to you the Word of God, and if I present to you correctly, God might use it to spark some faith, right? But again, it's up to God, not me. I'm not here to gain or lose anything of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I appreciate the interview,
Yeah.
but
Well,
no, I still stand firm on Islam being the answer for me.
that's fair.
But it
That's
might not
fair.
be for you, but if you really look into it, it might be.
Well, I've looked at it quite a lot, actually, by the way. So, and that's why I'm saying here, I'm certainly, if you're willing to, right, happy to have those conversations, right? Indeed, I don't want to force you to.
No, I'm
to
not
go through that,
knowledgeable about
but-
Islam, so
Which
I
is not-
can't, I
that's
can't
the thing.
debate you right now and bring references and stuff.
Exactly, right. But that's what I'm saying. I did look into
When
it
I
sufficiently.
did have
Yeah.
those questions,
Yeah.
they were answered.
Good. And when I did have those questions, they were
Yeah.
answered, but they were answered in a way that made me convicted that Christianity is very
Okay.
much the
And
solid
I respect
foundation.
that,
Yeah,
and I have
yeah.
no problem with that. And
Yes.
I'll never come up to you and say, "Oh, my religion is better than yours."
I wish
a
people
million
would.
times.
I wish people would.
Nah,
I wish people would, because
That's
in a respectful
disrespectful.
way, right? Because I would be like, that's great, that's amazing. Please tell me if I got something wrong.
Yeah.
What I don't want to do is I don't want to live a lie.
Okay.
I don't want to live a lie. And
Yeah.
if I got something wrong and someone wants to tell me something, please tell me. It's like being in a house that's burning, right? I can
Yeah.
pretend that it's not burning.
Yeah.
But if someone breaks my windows to get me out of the house because it's burning, I would thank them. I would thank. It might not feel pleasant. Might not feel pleasant, especially it's the middle of the night and I'm sleeping. It'll be a very unpleasant experience. But I'll be thankful that I did not burn, right? And my life was saved. But again, I appreciate that it's all respectful, and you are where you are right now. So that's fair. That's fair. I really appreciate your time.
Well, you don't show your face on the videos?
I do actually, because
Okay.
later I would add like my own introduction to it,
Fair.
but usually
Fair.
I film the other person more just because of that's how the format works. Yeah,
Fair enough. Well, I hope it goes viral for you.
it
the channel
doesn't. It doesn't.
builds-
That's fine.
How many views do you get normally?
A dozen or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So what pushes you to like carry on?
I told you, love for people.
Yeah.
I really love you as a person.
Okay,
I
fair
want you
You just
to.
like talking to people.
Not even.
Yeah.
I'm a very introvert person,
Fair
so I'm not usually the one who would approach. I'm scared,
Okay.
scared shitless, right, to come to person and sort of try to strike a conversation. It's because I have an opportunity to speak about something that may change a person's life,
Fair enough.
right? And
And how many people do you speak to like in a day?
I do this every Sunday. I do this.
Oh, okay.
Try to go into park here every Sunday. Sometimes I speak to no one. Sometimes I might speak to 2 or 3 people. It depends
Fair enough.
who I speak to, what their situation is. I'm not going to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do. But yeah, that's
Nice.
about. Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. Thank you again.
Well,
Thank
take
you.
care, man.
Yeah.